Hey everyone, Billy Goat. So, I recently had a question posed to me because I was in a discussion with somebody. They're talking about splice soldering. Okay, there's two different ways to do this. There's, now I've been doing this for decades. Okay, this is, this right here is probably my third roll, and these are the heavy ones, big rolls. My third one over the years. So, there's two ways to do it. You can either do what's called tin, whereas you pre-apply solder to both leads, both pieces of wire, and you stack them on top of each other, apply the iron, and melt the solder together. That gives you a joint like this. In woodworking, it's called a lap joint. Or you can do what's called a splice joint, where you spread the strands out, mesh them together. Sometimes some poke out, but you'll mesh them together, and then you solder them together. That, in my opinion, is a much stronger joint because it's just like a dovetail in woodworking. They're interlocked. It's a lot harder to take apart. Not that the lap joint won't come apart easily. It's just a lot less stress. It's a more solid joint if you splice it together like this. Basic tools you're gonna need is your pen soldering iron, your stripper clippers. You strip it right here. There's a clipper right here for cutting the wire, and up here is used for crimping, using butt connectors and other ends, spade ends, fork ends, stuff like that. Crimping that on the wire. You got your cutters, because I like having dedicated tools. This is flux, electrical flux. It's lead free. It's tinning flux. This is, as you can see, I've had it for a while because you don't use a lot, and you see how much is left in there. You don't use a lot. Okay, leave that open. This is just gonna be my stand. In this box, I actually have heat shrink. I'll show you how to do that. This right here is a piece of heat shrink tube. It's approximately 1 inch. As you get better, you can use shorter pieces, but 1 inch should cover the actual solder joint, and it should go past on each end to protect the joint itself. Just a little more protection. These are expensive, especially for amateurs that aren't going to be going super crazy into soldering. So they sell these little handy tubes, which has solder. This is a rosin core. It's what's called 60-40. It's 60% silver and 40%. Oh, this is 6337. It's not silver. This is silver. 60-40 silver. This is 63% tin, 37% lead. And it's electrical solder. It's made for this. You cannot use plumbing solder. You cannot use plumbing flux. If it's made for plumbing, it's going to have a higher acidity content to it, and it will just corrode the crap out of your wires, and it will break down your insulation on the wires. You cannot use plumbing stuff for electrical. So what I recommend to do is, if you are just learning how to solder, go to Ace Hardware, Home Depot, wherever, get 2 foot of 16 gauge, 18 gauge, 14, 12, whatever gauge you want. Standard in cars is 16 to 18 gauge, so you can practice on that. These are, I don't know, probably, these are about 14 gauge. But start with big, practice on it, get it smaller. So go get like 2 foot, cut it into sections, 5-6 inches long. That you can practice on soldering together, making one big long daisy chain wire again. So as you can see, this was used in previous applications. Always, 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 no matter what. I don't care if you know, saying I've got a piece of wire where it's stripped. If I'm gonna start a new project with it, even if it's pre-stripped, I clip it. So I got a fresh piece that I'm working with. Okay. I always start from the beginning. It's something I do. So you're gonna crimp, you're gonna cut the piece with the bare off, and as I clean it up, I'm gonna set them in there. This is gonna be the primary area of focus. I'm only going down maybe about a 1/4 inch. I don't know. No, normally what I would do is if I was gonna put a spade connector or something on here, use butt connectors, I would twist it right now, but we're not gonna do that. Okay, we're soldering. So I'm gonna take this untwisted wire, I'm going to dip it in my flux. Okay. Now what flux is, it is a mild acidic compound. And it's gonna clean off the corrosion, so it helps get a good join, and it melts and it actually helps the solder flow onto the metals. So I got both my ends fluxed right there. Alright. Always keep your workspace tidy. Done with something? Close it up, set it off to the side. Alright. Now since what most of y'all are going to be using, most likely, let's get this in a space where y'all can see it. Since most likely what y'all are going to be using is these little tubes, I'll use them. I'll use this one instead of my big roll. So always pull out more than you think you'll need. Okay. Now, I keep somewhere. Oh, well. So what you can do is, this one I've been using it a lot. You see, probably about time to get a new tip. But as it heats up, it's going to get a little buildup on it, especially after use. You can use 120 grit sandpaper, 80 grit sandpaper, something rough, a wire brush, or a piece of paper, because believe it or not, paper isn't abrasive. So we're just going to rub it on there. And you're going to clean it off. See what I'm talking about? Now this has been heating up, so it's going to be ready. Let's get set up. So you come with your ends, and what I was talking about, a splice joint, is you're going to press these ends together. You're going to press them together. Remember how I showed the fingers interlocking? Until you got it like that. Then you're going to come and you're going to kind of twist it. You get your fingers messy so that it joins together. A lot of this, what you see sticking out, is just flux. You see that? So then, once you got that in there, you're going to take your solder, you take your iron. Gentle pressure, okay? We're not trying to stick weld or anything like that. We're just using this to heat up those wires. Oh, I forgot a big part. But I'll do it in the end. With the heat shrink, especially if you get these wires already attached to something, you want to take this heat shrink and you want to put it on one of the sides. I've got this set up nice. I'm going to do it at the end. But pretend like I took this and slid it on already. Alright, so it's staged and off to the side, out of the way. Take your solder, take your iron, you're going to place it on there. See that smoke? Don't breathe it in. It's not really good for you. Now what it's doing is it's melting the flux. It's perfectly fine. There are some people that say don't put the solder on the iron. I do. That's just the way I do it. so it gets a little bit of solder going on the bottom of it, and you'll actually see as this goes. You see that joint in the solder? Now remember what I said about pulling out more than you thought you needed? See how much I use already? Set that down. Allow this to cool a bit. Your insulation is going to pull back, but see that? That right there is a splice joint. Pretty compact. But now, remember how I said pretend like I already put this on? The heat shrink that I forgot about. Y'all got me talking about joints. So this heat shrink that you've had sitting off to the side out of the way, you're now going to come over and you're going to slide it down. So that joint is right about there, right dead smack in the middle. Okay. Now there's a couple different ways you can do this. Okay, if you're doing quite a few of them, what I'll do, like if I'm installing a radio, I'll do my solders. I'll have the heat shrink on there. I'll slide the heat shrink over, and then I'll grab my heat gun, blows hot air, and I'll go through so I can do them all en masse. You can use the soldering iron gently by stroking it up and down the length of the heat shrink, and it will melt. Okay. The easiest way not to burn yourself is on the heat gun, and they actually make small compact heat guns, or a Bic. Okay. You can use a Bic lighter. It's not, where did I put it? This port is the easiest way not to burn yourself, but you can melt the heat shrink if you are not careful. Okay? Look me in the eyes. You can melt the heat shrink if you are not careful. Be careful. Here's how you do it with the Bic. Okay? Because the soldering iron is pretty self-explanatory. You just slide up and down until you see it melt. You slide it over the top, you slide it over the bottom, gotta hit the sides a little bit. A little more time consuming, but it's safer. But you can hit your fingers and burn yourself. So you got sensitive hands, you can still do it that way. That way it's self-explanatory. This is gonna show you need a magic touch on it. Alright? Now you see how I'm holding it? So the flame is gonna come out, it's not gonna go into my thumb. It's gonna go straight up. Pay attention, this goes quick. Okay? Light it, wave it, wave it, wave it. See how it's melting already? See that? Not melting, but shrinking. Now I'm gonna come to the other side. Wave it, wave it, wave it. Boom. Right? Now it's not shrunk all the way. So, pass, 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 pass. Done. And that is how you do that. Now it's protected. Now if I'm doing this in a bundle, in a car, I'm now going to take that bunch of wires, put them together into one bundle, and I'm going to wrap it with electrical tape. Okay? If this is just going to be a lone wire running along the way, get some split loom or some Tech Flex. I prefer Tech Flex. If you use split loom, you can just slide this into the looming, and it's good. But that right there, you're done. Super easy. Feel free to watch this as many times as you need to. Play it in slow motion, zoom in on it. Soldering looks difficult. It's not hard. I tell people it doesn't matter how many years I've been doing it. It's not hard. Okay? If I could do it when I was like 9 years old, that's when I learned how to do it. It's like 9 years old. I wanted some underglow lights on my RC car that I got from Toys R Us. Okay, put it in a battery pack. Set up a series of lights. Little switch. If I can do it when I was 9 years old, trust me, it's not that difficult. Okay. Y'all have a good one now. Don't burn yourselves. Be careful.